What is up, guys? In today's video we are going to be spectating random Fortnite players in Zero Build once again. This is going to be the first video I've made since the explosive repeater rifle has come out, so let me know down in the comments below what you think of the new explosive repeater rifle being added to the game this season. I'm sure we'll see some players using it this game because it is a very impactful weapon. It's a very popular weapon. It's very good, and it's probably the most overpowered weapon in the game right now. So I'm sure we'll see some players try to make some plays with it and maybe have to play against it as well. Try to go frenzy this game. I don't remember where I went last time I made one of these videos. And typically there's like a solid amount of people when I go frenzy. Yeah, it seems like there's a few. And my drop is better than all of them. But when I'm trying to actually play, that's not always the case. Bro, you got a gun. He was like trying to be friendly with me. I'm not teaming. Okay, we're on board with Luhu too. They got a suppressed Havoc AR. They're probably very confused with what just happened. I walked up to them and watched them take the gun. Looting this. There's a chest above him. You can just jump in this area and then see over these barricades, and you don't have to like open each one individually like this. It would help you loot a little bit faster. I don't think this is like the best place to land if you do land frenzy, because you have to deal with barn, you have to deal with that house across the way, and then also the big yellow house to the left is like going to be a problem for you. I feel like that place doesn't have that much loot, and also it kind of gets focused by everything. When it comes to like landing at a POI like this, I tend to like to land on like the edge of the POI, like the big yellow house or the white barn. That way we're dealing with like not as many angles at once. I do not think we're going to be spectating this player for very long. I kind of wish I just landed yellow house, because this player does not seem like they want to get involved in the action. There is shockwaves in front of them, and the player behind him has the big pot. And this is kind of like what I was saying with where he landed. He has to deal with this person behind him and the person yellow house. Whereas this person behind him isn't like an immediate danger from yellow house, and the person yellow house isn't an immediate danger from the person behind him. He's just naturally pinched here. And it sounds like the player that's been flare gunning him is running up on him. They're spamming the explosive repeater rifle. Surprised not many of those shots hit. Please, just this player is on the struggle bus. Okay, thank you. Now we're on with Trick to Matic. Hopefully they are a little bit more aware of their surroundings as that other player. They just did not really have much of a sense of urgency. We spectated that player's first Fortnite match ever, I think. They did get the battle pass though. And this player has a flare gun, they have the explosive repeater rifle, and they have the MK. They have the invisibility gloves. I don't think they're very good. I think if you're this player, you definitely want to scan yellow house. I don't know if he's had a flare over there. I would assume he's had flares in this area because he was shooting them at that era that we were spectating. I think that's the name of that skin. You're gonna go with the porta bunkers. You can now carry 4. So he decides to waste the flare gun off and then take the combat SMG. He's gonna upgrade his explosive repeater rifle here. I would definitely drop the invisibility gauntlets for the 4 bunkers. So he has 2 stacks of bunkers there. Previously, you could only carry 2 in a stack, but in this an update this week, like shortly after the update went live this week, they changed it to where you can carry 4 bunkers in 1 item slot in Zero Build, and it is like they're better. I would still rather have shockwaves over them personally, just because I value the playmaking potential of shockwaves. But I think that bunkers are much more valuable than the invisibility gloves. There's a player right in front of him there. There is shockwaves on the ground over there. I don't think the invisibility gloves are very good. And when it comes down to utility, I prefer shockwaves to bunkers, but I would rather have at least one of them. Like if I'm not able to get shockwaves, I'm happy to have bunkers. Got shots on that player over there. Unfortunately, he wasted his last flare gun shot and didn't find them. He hit them for like 120, and that's one of the reasons why shockwaves are so good, because you can get those opening tags and then shockwave onto the person. Whereas now, he gets those opening tags and then he has to like slowly push around this player. That way he's not in the open. He could have also pushed this player with bunkers, since he would have had 4. He could have like pushed up and then thrown 1 down and then used the tires to get here a little bit sooner. Or at least just held the bunkers out. That way, in case this player did try to make a play on him, he could do something. But since he had neither, he has to kind of like play the outskirts here, and it makes this fight last way longer than it needed to. This player maybe got a chance to heal up, and we'll see if this aura is able to survive this fight. He's going to go for the invisibility gauntlets. That player is getting third-partied, and that's one of the downsides of having that fight go long, is that it's more likely you get third-partied. Seems like the third party benefited him, though. I kind of want to spectate the other players. But that is the unfortunate aspect of switching players in this spectator mode, is it just sends me across the map, and then now I have no context of what's going on in this situation. That's why I tend to like just stick on one player until they die. But like watching people like that is painful sometimes. Okay, this player seems to be involved in a fight. It went down at Naughty Nets. It's hecka bunkers on the capture point. The capture point has already been captured. You can see on the minimap here there's a check on it. So it has already been taken. Oh, there's a player in that bunker. He gets timing to an extent. Oh my gosh. GG's. I did not think this Miles was going to win that fight at all. He had like somewhat of timing there, but hesitated. And then that player started beaming him with the Havoc AR. And then somehow he wins that fight from behind. And that is one of the reasons why the MK is just much better than the Havoc. Why are you lighting yourself on fire, sir? I think he meant to... Get off, get off, get off. Oh, wait, does it not burn? Bro, I thought he lived to die to the fire. I think he meant to switch to his med miss there and ended up flare gunning himself. So he has the choice of the sharp tooth shotgun there. He's going to stick with the drum. If you like using the drum shotgun, that's fine. I don't think the sharp tooth is very good personally. If it came down to using the sharp tooth or the Havoc, I would rather have the Havoc 100% of the time. The white Havoc pump has a higher max damage than the gold sharp tooth. The sharp tooth does have added range, but I feel like that range isn't the biggest deal because it's not so insane that you can really change how you play. Like, it doesn't have the range of the breacher shotgun or anything like that. It's still just like, you know, shotgun range that you're going to be using it in. It doesn't really change how you can use it. So I would rather just have the Havoc pump and have the added damage. The sharp tooth is a very interesting weapon add. I'm not really sure why they did that without removing the Havoc. Like, I love the Havoc. I don't want them to remove it. But it would have made way more sense to me if they removed the Havoc when adding the sharp tooth, because at least then, you know, it would be the pump. I don't really know what went on there, but I'm happy the Havoc is still in the game because I don't think very highly of the sharp tooth shotgun. This player is just going to continue healing or like looting, try to get some heals, try to get max health. They have no utility. They have the flare gun, but they don't have bunkers. They don't have shockwaves. And like I was saying before, I think having one of those items is very important in zero build. It's like the only thing you can really do to kind of change the outcome of a fight. You know, if you get unlucky timing and someone fries you and you're not in the best spot, like the only thing you can really do is shockwave or bunker, or you're probably just going to die. Same thing goes with like end game. If zone doesn't go your way, or, you know, somebody has a nice position of advantage end game, you're probably just going to lose unless you have bunkers or shockwaves to like kind of change the odds of those fights. That's why those utility items are so important in zero build. Because like you could try to play as safe as you want. Like there's going to be times where you have to like be in some bad areas, or just timing is going to be a thing. Especially in endgame, like you don't really get to choose what you're doing in game, you know? Like the zone is what it is. You could have a zone that just ends in an open area, and then you're going to really wish you had those bunkers. So there's an interesting bug in this game that this player might have just activated. Well, we can't really see their sprint bar, but if you drink slap juice and then get a slap barrel, you can lose the slap effect and then still run out of stamina despite your bar being gold. So it's like if you're going to use the juice, you don't want to use the barrels, and then vice versa. Like you would think it would just reset the timer, but it does create a problem where like you run out of unlimited sprint for some reason if you double it up like that. You can use multiple barrels, or you could use multiple juices, but trying to combine barrels and juice for some reason negates each other sometimes. I'm not sure if it's guaranteed to happen or if it's just temporary, but I was playing on stream and encountered that bug where my sprint bar is gold and I couldn't sprint anymore. And someone in chat said it was when you take the barrels and the juice, and I have been able to replicate it. It's a very strange bug, but because it's been around for as long as this chapter has been a thing. This should be a kill. I don't think very highly of this player there. They just didn't even shoot back at all. Unfortunately, this guy we're spectating isn't using the explosive repeater. And interestingly enough, he decided to go for multiple flare guns with the drum shotty. And this could come back to bite him, because he has to get hecka close to use the drum shotty there. And this player is able to slip by because of it. He should win this fight. Never mind. This player had 1 HP, literally. I told you that Miles Morales should have won that fight. But that was just needlessly risky. I don't know why he jumped on that the way he did. Like, I understand pushing when you get tagged, but I don't think he had done that much damage to this player. And he had just shot the fire at those trees, which forces this player to move away from those trees, you know? Like, I feel like if you're gonna use the fire to like force them out of that area, then you kind of want to just hold it with an AR. But he like lit that area on fire and then jumped onto the fire. This player is also using the drum shotty. And that's like one of the downsides of the drum shotty. Like the drum shotty is very easy to use, but fights like that just feel like very, very random using the drum shotty. Like that Miles made a bad play, but even with making that bad play, he could have won that fight. Like you saw, this person was left on 1 HP. So they very easily could have died, but it's just like the drum shotty can be such like a coin flip in those situations. While that aura that we were on board with is still alive. They ended up winning that, or coming out of that situation alive. I just saw them get a kill in the kill feed. We'll see if they end up winning this game and we missed out on it all. So not much is going on here. Third zone is approaching. If I was this player here, I would just be wanting to get my combat cache. It's going to spawn in 20 seconds. I feel like being where he is nice because he's probably going to be somewhat isolated. So hopefully he can get to his combat cache early. While it's purple or gold, he'll get a purple or gold pump. Don't really know if he's going to want to use that. He also didn't really loot that Miles Morales because that Miles did have a purple drum shotty. But either way, I think the slurps out of the combat cache are very important. I think there's somebody in this bush. Yeah, I thought I heard them, but I was like trying to talk about the combat cache. This should be a fight this player loses, I think. They didn't take very much damage there, but I do not like how they've played this situation at all. I have no confidence in this player. I think this is an AI. It might be. It looks like one of the AI names. Probably not, though. They've made too many decisions in regards to healing. I feel like the AI probably would have just stood out in the open there. This player is going to push down this hill. The player we're spectating can get beams on them, or maybe they're not pushing down the hill. They maybe think the player went there. Either way, though, I think the combat cache is very good. I prefer using the pump. The combat cache is a guaranteed high rarity pump if you get there quickly, but these slurps are also very good, and this player has no chance to get a vault, so I feel like getting the combat cache for the slurps would be ideal. He does not have keys. And so this is a situation where like I don't understand why people loot sometimes, because he was trailing this player. Seemed like he could maybe get timing on them, and now that player has had a lot more time to potentially get away from here because they wanted to look at the hollow chest and then not have keys. We'll see if that player is still like lurking around these parts. If I don't see anything soon, I think I'm just gonna switch. I don't really want to be on board with that player anyways. I was kind of hoping they would get eliminated there. Okay, this player has good loadout, somewhat. I don't really care for the Havoc AR. I don't really care for the drum shotty, but they have high rarity stuff. They have 4 slurp juice, but they have no utility. Like carrying double heals can be nice in build mode, but in zero build, I really like having some sort of utility. Also feel like the Flapjack and the Havoc AR overlap a lot, so I would rather use just one or the other. And then maybe he would have extra room for utility if that's what they choose to do. Got solid opening tags on that player, but they're just gone. I think the person went somewhere in that direction. I think this is very bad. If you're fighting somebody and then they shockwave away, and I talked about this in the mistakes video I made when it came to getting third partied, but you don't want to be where they just were. Like if he had obvious line of sight on the person, then sure, maybe he could sit there and beam them. But he doesn't know where that player went. But when that player shockwaves away, you can bet they're going to be looking back towards the person that just beamed them, you know? So standing out in the open on that roof is not the most ideal thing, I feel like. There's a purple pump there. It is of this healer NPC. I don't really care for hiring the NPCs, but the healer ones can be pretty nice because they heal you, and then the scout ones can also be quite good because they mark people. And with the vaulting of the heavy sniper, the scout NPCs now carry the explosive repeater rifle, and I feel like it makes it even more likely that they hit some shots, because even if they don't hit the person, if they hit near them, they can trigger the explosive effect and get some damage on the person. It's pretty crazy. This person has also been playing for a while. This is a Chapter 2 Season 2 skin, the Maya, who's like a fully customizable Battle Pass skin. It upset a lot of players because once at the end of the season, whatever you had selected at the end of that season is what you got stuck with, and a lot of people were unaware of that. I think this player needs to just let that kill go. It's been so long since they last shot at that person or last saw that person. Wow, they're actually in that car. But I think just like hanging around this area looking for somebody isn't ideal because, like I said before, that person is probably going to be looking for you. I hope they realize their inventory. They have the Wild Wasp weaponry perk, and that gave them a wasp jar, and they no longer have their AR. I don't know why someone would get that augment. He seems to be aware of it though because he's holding it out, so. Okay. He was just using the Havoc Air, I guess, out of necessity there. This loadout makes a little more sense to me. I still would rather have that purple pump back there. Never mind. He wants Havoc Air. I mean, he did fry that person. I think the Havoc Air can be good. It's just... I feel like it's really not desirable for most people because, like, for a lot of players, if you're going to have to use a third-person AR, they want something that's very versatile. Like the Hammer AR, you could use it as both like an AR and an SMG hybrid style thing. But with the Havoc AR, that doesn't work that well as far as like comboing it with a pump shotgun because of the pullout time isn't the greatest. I would have liked to have seen this person drop the flapjack rifle for the explosive repeater that was there or the shockwaves. And then like they can win with this loadout. It's not like the end of the world, but I feel like having both the Havoc AR and the flapjack rifle is kind of redundant unless they were using a pump, but they're not using a pump, so they don't need a spray weapon anyway. So it's like I don't really know what's going on here. And they didn't take that pump, so it's not like they just had the drum shotty out of like inconvenience. Like they seemingly want to use the drum shotty. There should be people in Mega City. There's an NPC with a question mark above its head, and I think that only happens if it's like aggroed on something. Zone pulled kind of far. It's an inconvenient zone pull. And I feel like with this zone, you probably want to be on one of these mountains. If you can. We'll see if this person ends up fighting in Mega City or if they just go straight for that. I think the easiest way to win would just be try to go control that mountain as fast as possible because Mega City is going to be an inconvenient area for a lot of people to get through. Like a lot of people just get bogged down here. And there's launch pads at the end of these docks. I would probably just hit that launch pad and then go towards that mountain. Again, though, this player has no utility. There's a purple drum there. This player has no utility, so it's going to be very hard for them to react to an unfavorable situation if like somebody gets first shot on them, or if they end up in a situation with not the best cover to be able to push a fight. This gives me anxiety. Instead of going for either of the launch pads, they're going to try to swim across this lake. And it might work, but I feel like this is much more risky than hitting the launch pad. Like, sure, the launch pad makes noise and you might draw some attention to yourself, but I would rather draw some attention to myself and get to an area that's defendable than just like exist in an area where that's certain death if someone looks at me. Like, imagine if there was somebody standing where he is now with an MK and they saw him crossing. Like, there's nothing he can do to survive there. He's going to be in this bush. Kind of hope someone else goes through the water and then he's able to eliminate them from this bush. Where are they at? This is going to be an okay bush to camp. There's likely going to be some people coming in from Mega City, so you can choose to hold them. I guess they didn't want to camp in that bush. Zone pulled gas. Getting into Kenjutsu will be nice if you're able to get there when zone pulls. Getting like to the top of that building, especially if they had an explosive repeater rifle. There's somebody driving a car right now, which if this player had an explosive repeater rifle, that's a free kill. Or a free lot of damage. If you hit the car pretty much at all with the explosive, the driver or people in the car will take damage. It's exactly how the bow was. That's that aura that has my crown. We'll see what they decide to take from this person's loot, if anything. They still had those invisibility gauntlets. But yeah, the cars for a lot of this season were very desirable, but I feel like with the explosive repeater rifle being in the game, cars are actually like a death trap to an extent. Because like with cars, you've always drawn a lot of attention to yourself, but it was okay because it was like inconvenient for people to hit you. But with the explosive repeater, like it's very easy to get damage on the person. And I feel like that just makes cars not as desirable. Gonna get on top of this gas station, I would imagine. He could play this gas station. But like if I had shockwaves here and all I want to do is win the game, I would just shockwave onto Kenjutsu as soon as it's in zone. This lobby is pretty dead though, so like that might not be as necessary, but if there's more people alive or like more like solid players, then controlling Kenjutsu would be nice. Does he not see this person? He does. But I don't think these last remaining players are the best because of how like slow this game has been. Like there hasn't been a lot of active players. Getting third partied here. He wins the fight, GG's. Okay, so if that alien had an explosive repeater rifle, what they could have done when shockwaving on that was shoot the explosive repeater from the sky. Not only would it break the bush, but you would probably get some splash damage in on this player, and it would have made third partying that a bit easier because they would have had some opening damage on the person, and then also that bush wouldn't have existed, and it would have made that fight a little less awkward. But like right there, you saw the power of the slurps I was talking about. The slurps are so good for that reason. If that player had to actually use a normal healing item, it's more likely that alien gets decent timing on them. But I think the repeater rifle shockwave push, especially if the alien has soaring sprints, you stay in the air longer and then you're able to just like constantly throw out more explosive repeater shots. It would have made life much more inconvenient for that Maya, and we may have seen that alien take it. But instead they kind of shockwave push into the bush, which is just like a huge 50-50. And I feel like that fight really could have gone either way. But the Maya had a drum shotty and a slurp ticking and an NPC. So like that very coin flippy encounter, I feel like kind of favors them. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful or informative. If you did, remember to give a like, subscribe if you like some more, and comment down below what you think of the explosive repeater rifle in the game. I tried to talk about it there, but not very many people use it. But we still saw some situations where it would have been really good dealing with the car, dealing with that bush. It is a very punishing item to play against, and I think it's really overpowered. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.